Hi guys, welcome back. And in this video, I want to show you, or rather, I want to explain what really Git is. I want to take just some few moments. I won't go into coding in this video, but for that course, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe so that anytime I'll be uploading videos on how to use Git, you can be able to catch up. And without further ado, let us dive in and see what really Git is. So I've prepared some few slides here just to help us understand. So many people even use Git, especially if you're a software developer, probably or definitely you will have to use Git at some point. And many people do use Git, but they don't really understand what Git is. So it's just good that you have a clear understanding of what Git is so that you can have more appreciation and when it comes to its usage, you have a clear understanding of what you're using. So Git is a version control software. Basically, what that means is that let us say you have a software that you're developing and you're making changes to that software. So let us say today you have developed the home page, right? That might be called like version one of your software. Then you come, let us say you add like contact page to your software. That might be called version three of your website. So what basically Git does is that it keep records of all these versions and helps you like to track every of these versions. So by any chance, if let us say you are in version 4 and you make a mistake in version 4, then you can easily revert to version 3 of that website. And number two, also Git allows like collaboration between many programmers. Yeah. So if you are maybe 1,000 people, or maybe if you are 100 working on a project, then Git gives you the ability to collaborate as a team and not be able to overwrite each other's work, which is a cool thing because if you look at it, it helps like speed up the development process. If we can be able to work on huge software and we have five of us and we do not overwrite each other's work, then that means we'll ultimately increase our development time. And as a such, that is a huge advantage when it comes to development of software. Git, by definition, is a version control system. It helps you to track your version of your software. Number two, it helps you to collaborate with many programmers. As I've said, it allows developers to work simultaneously, also prevents overwriting of each other's work or changes, and maintain a history of every version of your software. So when it comes to Git, or rather, when it comes to version control system, there are two types of version control system. We have the central version control system and we have a distributed version control system. All the codes in a central version control system, they are in a central server. For me to make changes, I'll have to access the central server. That is why it's called central version control system. If I make a change, then I'll have to access the central server. If my other software developer makes a change, then he has to access a central server, which means we have a single storage point where all of us need to access in order to make changes. And we have the second type of version control system, which is the distributed version control system. Now, the distributed version control system is whereby each of the developers in the team has a copy of the central server on their own local machine. So if I need to make a change, I do not need necessarily to access the central server. I can literally make a change on my local machine. And when I'm completely satisfied that the change is okay as the way I wanted, then I can just push those changes to the main server or to the central server. And that is why it is called a distributed version control system. The central server is mirrored by the different developers who are accessing that server. So it means at the end of the day, I do not need necessarily to have access to the central server. I can make the changes locally, I can test them locally, and once I'm satisfied, I can only push my changes that I've made now to merge to the or rather to incorporate these changes to the central server. So let us look at some comparison between central version control system and distributed version control system. So by default, Git is a distributed version control system, which means I do not have to access the central server, and it helps me to create like a mirror of the central server so that I can be able to work with that effectively. So when it comes between the central version control system and the distributed version control system, you'll find that the disadvantage of the central version control system is that if the server goes down, and then it means that no one will have access to that, to the changes or even to the code that is being stored in the server. And ultimately, if the server, or rather, if we lose the data in the central server, then it means also that we have lost our work as a collaboration or a team. But when it comes to distributed version control system, if we lose the changes in the central server, everyone has a copy of this central server. And what we can simply do is that the person who has the latest version of the central server can simply update the central server, and then we other developers, we can simply like mirror again this copy and start working from there. You can literally see how advantageous this comes when it comes to like backing up your website and just having like a different version for your website. So I hope you guys have understood that Git is just a version control system. It helps us track the versions of our software and also help many developers to collaborate, and ultimately it is more advantageous than the central version control system. Actually, by the way, many people nowadays, or many companies nowadays, prefer to use distributed version control system because definitely they have proven to be more advantageous than the central version control system. So guys, make sure to leave a comment, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, because I'm going to make a series of Git and show you guys, how to work with Git from zero to hero. So make sure you subscribe so that when I make these videos, you'll be updated and you can be able to follow along. Thank you for now. And until we meet again, guys, bye bye.